Hi, my name is Nacho, welcome back to the channel, and today I want to talk about women. Calm down. Particularly the presentation of women in media and pop culture with 3 words that would make Emily Blunt immediately throw a script out of the window. Of course, I am talking about the strong female protagonist. It's not a mystery that in the past decade, the number of media featuring a female lead has done nothing less than skyrocket, and the performance of some of these movies or shows that feature this type of characters has, well,
to the ground, not quite to the mooring mast. Oh, the humanity.
But naturally, here you ask, the strong female character has been around for ages, since the beginning of cinema, some might say. This is correct, and I'm sure we can all think about a couple female performances that live in our minds rent-free. However, it is important to differentiate strong characters that are female from strong female characters. It is the latter who in recent times have not connected very well with audiences, and that has led to massive financial losses from franchises like The Witcher, Disney Marvel, Lord of the Rings, Disney Star Wars, Disney. But what is it that makes some of these strong female protagonists be rejected or outright ignored so often by the viewers? To answer this, I want to compare examples of some of these characters done right and some of them done terribly wrong. Thanks to my amazing community that commented and gave me some awesome examples to work with, which, for the sake of editing time, I'm going to have to keep to just a few, but if this video gets, I don't know, 1,001 likes, there might be a second part. So please, start hitting that like button like it owns you money. Let's start with a simple definition. A strong female protagonist can be simply defined as the opposite of a damsel in distress. In our recent times though, this is a self-sufficient, fully capable and rarely flawed character whose inherent strength is boosted by her womanhood. But it's also defined in some writing circles as a bit of a cliché, reserved for characters who are, in a way, an idolized version of the writer or creators who insert themselves in the story, and is largely considered a simplistic way of writing women or a form of fanfiction.
Big nerd, I loved Marvel heroes, and I wrote a lot of fanfiction.
The most called-out example of this has been, without a doubt, Galadriel from Rings of Powers.
About my girl Galadriel.
Yeah,
I can't believe this show is getting a second season. I am almost certain that Amazon is laundering money at this point. My main gal Galadriel separates herself from PJ's Galadriel almost immediately, even before a single one of the episodes hit the streaming service. And once they did, everything from there was nothing less than a nosedive for the character. In the first season, Galadriel was shown to be rash, reckless, short-tempered, disrespectful to others' authority, dismissive of the men under her command and her friends, all while being a couple thousand years old. All of these flaws are presented as a character arc that she never really gets over or call out for, and she eventually gets what she wants, taking command of the fleet of Numenor just to fail her mission, lets Sauron go, and later ends up being the one coming up with the idea of forging the 3 rings. A great analogy someone made of this character, normally called Mary Seuss, is that she acts like a black hole in space, bending the very fabric of the story and people in it around herself, making everything eventually be pulled towards her. She is the central and most important character, but in a way that doesn't allow anyone else to gain the viewer's interest, because in the story, all of them exist to elevate her. Quickly comparing that with the OG Galadriel, who, despite not being the center of the story, is presented with a mesmerizing air of grace to her, reflected in the faces of the Fellowship as she enters, her chin up high. Imposing posture and the overwhelming beauty helped with the casting of Cate Blanchett for the role. However, later in the story, when confronted with the One Ring, she briefly succumbs to the temptation of possessing it, imagining the power and everlasting beauty she would have, but successfully winning over it and realizing that she's not strong enough to fight the Dark Lord's influence. So it's easy to figure out why people hated the latest version of Gal. She's a brat, which for a character born basically in elf heaven and living thousands of years till that point makes no goddamn sense. And that's not even mentioning those who read the books. But that's not a good comparison, because like I said, Galadriel was not a protagonist like our gal Galadriel. So to make it fair, I'ma bring Seline from the Underworld series. Before I go into the difference between the two, I'd like to add that the big increase in strong female characters was shouldered by the rising popularity of the Me Too movement and the growing presence of feminism in media. You know the Bechdel test? Yeah, that was meant to be a joke about lesbians. Anyways, with the increase of the estrogen levels in the leading and creative roles within the industry, which was very welcome in certain stories, another facet of it began to grow inside of it in the form of toxic feminism. with the sort of women creators that have an absolute and unrelenting disdain for the male side of the species and are very seriously opposed to the idea of making anything that would slightly please the male gaze. That being said, I can segue into Kate Beckinsale looking like this in the first Underworld. I'm just saying words now to keep her in the screen longer. Okay, that's enough. And compare that with Morphic Clark in all of Rings of Power. I'm not saying that Morphic's a bad looking girl, but they did her dirty with the granny gown. And think about it, when you picture strong female energy, you think of a slight sense of sensuality. Not necessarily in any sexual, objectifying, fan-servicey kind of way, but I can safely say that both men and women love to see a beautiful woman in a sexy-looking outfit, which is one of the things that makes some female performances truly memorable. A big reason why everyone loved Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman despite her acting skills not being even in the same planet as an Oscar nomination, she looked absolutely stunning in her superhero outfit, and the hypocrisy that plagues modern writing can be easily seen, for example, in many MCU movies, where no one had an issue stripping down Chris Hemsworth to his bare ass cheeks, but at the same time every other female superhero has been getting progressively more covered up with the passing years, cause damn those horny men for even daring to look at women. But going back to Seline and looking at her character instead of her looks, while quickly reinforcing how fucking good she looks, in the first Underworld, Seline is a weapon, literally, tasked with killing any Lycans without question or hesitation, and she does that incredibly well. She is very strong. She's an unstoppable soldier but gets curious and feels that there's more to the story that people are letting her know. And when she meets Michael, she ends up falling in love with him and starts peeling off the layers of the lie she's been living under for centuries. We see the realization that she's been fooled and how she decides to go against everything she knows to save the person she loves. She's allowed to explore those emotions and be vulnerable while still being a total badass. So what makes it work is that she's a good, relatable, and strong character first that just happens to be a woman second, instead of a character that's inherently strong because she's a woman. Which leads me to my next point, for which I'll use Beatrix Kiddo or the Bride as an example. What makes this character great is not only how easily to understand her motivations are. She was betrayed by the man she thought she loved and the squad she quote-unquote trusted and was left to die in the altar, though when she regains conscience all she wants to do is kill Bill. It's literally the title of the entire franchise. And fuck up everyone and everything they own on her way there. What's also great about her character is that she cannot be gender swapped. She has to be the bride. She has to wake up in the hospital bed crying that they took her baby. She has to be a woman for us to perceive how hard her training is from Pai Mei. She has to be a woman to show mercy to the son of Bernita Green. Any dude would have shot that kid right there and then to assure that he wouldn't try to kill him when he grows up. But that mercy came from her motherly instinct that was taken from her when she was shot in the face. Now change her character to be a guy and the whole story falls apart, which is what makes gender swap characters who are changed merely for the sake of passing the Bechdel test, literally created as a joke by the way, to be disliked so much, because it's just a woman with male characteristics. They are cold, stoic, braggy, they undermine their peers in a way to make themselves look better in a sort of macho alpha pursuit, which is what Marvel has implemented in the last couple of years in an attempt to please the Twitter crowd screaming sexist at anyone who liked how good Scarlett Johansson looked in Iron Man and systematically started creating shows that are, for lack of a better phrasing, primarily based on let's take superhero character A and make him a woman, or, in other words,
the audience.
Put a ticket in and make her name it gay!
That's just lazy writing.
To give an example where doing this just wouldn't work, take Ellen from The Quick and the Dead, Ripley, Sarah Connor, Furiosa, Katniss, Rita Vertasky, and more. The evidence of this lazy writing comes in many ways, but primarily in how many times some of these strong female characters have to be constantly reinforced by others on the fact that they are either beautiful, strong, smart, capable, or independent, and how lucky everyone is to have them on their side, even if they never return the favor of telling anyone how lucky they are of having such supportive family or friends. They are the sort of characters that can be outright horrible and would be absolutely hated if they were men, but because they have two X chromosomes, for the most part, they are given a pass or rewarded for their fuck-ups because the fact that they are the worst is nothing more than character development in their journey to realizing their true power as women. The fact that the strong female character is rejected so often by both men and women is nothing more than the natural reaction that logical people have to a poorly written character. No one likes to see a bully or a jerk, or an outright lame-ass person brought to the spotlight while having everyone around them lecturing the audience on how good she or he is and why we should like them, while she or he does nothing to actually prove that. People also don't like to be called sexist afterwards. Reducing women to just being strong limits the capability of any actress to bring that character to life, let alone make them likable. Brie Larson went from being great in Scott Pilgrim and winning an Oscar in Room to being one of the most disliked characters in all of the MCU, as well as acting in one of the lowest ever performing movies in Marvel history. That cannot be entirely her fault. I'm running out of time, but a special mention goes to the type of female characters portrayed by muscular women, like Gina Carano in Mandalorian and Michelle Rodriguez in Dungeons & Dragons, who fit that brawler type of character that feels natural to the audience because they look like they could actually beat you up. Not that I would mind. So if you want people to like your strong female characters, have them be good characters first, then give them a reason to be strong, and finally, make them women. But if you watch this far into the video, leave a like. Check out this video next about another female-led show that's coming out next year. Let me know in the comments down below which is your favorite female performance that lives in your mind rent-free. Mary Elizabeth Winstead in Kate. And as always, I've been Nacho. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.